Chapter 353 to 355. Chikashoto Pain crouched down, staring at Jiraiya with indifferent cold eyes, and slowly said, "Jiraiya-sensei, you shouldn't be here." Kakashi and Guy, both stunned, immediately turned towards Jiraiya with an incredulous expression. Obviously, the term sensei, used by Pain to refer to Jiraiya, was the last thing they expected. Never did either of them could have thought that the mysterious leader of the Akatsuki organization would actually turn out to be Jiraiya-sama's disciple. Jiraiya was still a bit confused and questioned with an uncertain tone, "You really are Nagato?" After 3 years of teaching the three kids, Jiraiya obviously remembers their appearance, but with the way the other party referred to him, and those eyes only reminded him of Nagato. And obviously, the other party referred to him by the suffix sensei, therefore, he had to be one of those three children. "So, I guess you are the one who became Pain, Nagato? Straight from the path of goodness, what happened to you?" Can't help but ask in confusion. What could be the reason that prompted such a change within Nagato? However, Chikashoto Pain only said, "You don't need to know, after all, you are an outsider." Jiraiya's face sank, "You really have changed, Nagato." He looked up at the kunoichi hovering high above in the sky, observing the entire battlefield with an indifferent expression, did not even look at him or pass a greeting. Jiraiya's heart suddenly felt sad. Did everything I taught the three of them for 3 years mean nothing to them? If the one with the ponytail is Nagato, then who are the other two? And why do they also have the Rinnegan? Kakashi on the side could feel that Jiraiya's situation was not alright, and he asked in a worry, "Jiraiya-sama, are you alright?" And about what Pain spoke. Jiraiya sighed, and explained, "It was during the last years of the Second Great Shinobi War. After the Sanin's battle with Hanzo of the Salamander, we were approached by 3 orphan children for food, and seeing that we were shinobi, one of the 3 kids asked us to teach them ninjutsu. They wanted to protect themselves, and I did. I stayed in the Land of Rain for 3 years and taught the 3 of them. Apparently, I never expected that they would stray from the path of goodness." Guy asked, "So, did all 3 of them have the Rinnegan?" Jiraiya shook his head and said with a solemn expression, "That's what I don't understand, only one of them had the Rinnegan." After a pause, Jiraiya turned towards Chikashoto Pain and questioned, "Nagato, what happened to Yahiko?" Chikashoto Pain spoke with a bit of melancholy, "Oh yes, there was such a fellow once, wasn't there? But he died a long time ago." Jiraiya was shocked, "Nagato, what happened to you? The old you would never." Chikashoto Pain said lightly, "Nothing happened. Nothing except for the war. Too many people died in this land. All that pain forced me to grow up." "What does that mean?" Jiraiya questioned. "That even innocent foolish children will grow up in the face of pain, until their thoughts and beliefs are the same as adults. But abandoning one's love for his friends and fellow man, is that really what it means to become adults? Oh sensei, you are still merely a man, however I, mired in endless pain, have matured, and become much more than a man." "What are you saying?" "Yes, I've grown from a man, to a god. And since I am a god, all my words and thoughts have become absolute. Poor sensei, you are still only a human, it's not your fault if you don't understand what I am saying. Have you really become that twisted? Things that I couldn't see when I was a human are clear to me now that I am a god, and being a god, I realize that there are things I can do which a mortal man cannot even dream of. Or to put it more simply, I have evolved beyond man. Just what exactly are you planning to do?" "At last, I am going to put an end to this senseless war-riddled world. This will be my sacred deed." "Alright, that's enough. All you are doing is spreading chaos and more war with the Akatsuki. It matters not if you, a human, does not understand the words of a god. Your opinion is not taken into account. You are going to die anyway, Jiraiya-sensei. To me, you are like a single-celled organism, who hasn't evolved at all. Ha ha ha. Kuchios no jutsu. Imagine a kid treating me like a kid. Well, I have news for you, kid. I am not human anymore either." These tears of blood, overflowing with rage. "I went from Sannin to Sennin, the monstrous toad of Mount Myaboku. I am Jiraiya-sama, arg. You haven't matured at all, sensei. You are just as clumsy as ever." Even Kakashi and Guy did not know what to make up of this conversation. Poof. 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 At this time Chikashoto Pain pressed his hands together, and 3 different white smoke explosions. When the smoke cleared, it revealed 3 different summon beasts, a giant snake-tailed gecko, a giant bull, and finally a giant lion. Seeing that the battle seems inevitable, Jiraiya said to Kakashi and Guy, "Why don't you two deal with all those Kuchios and buy me some time?" Kakashi and Guy looked at each other and nodded. Why does he have so many of these kuchiyos in the first place? Kakashi can't help but mutter as both he and Guy ran towards them. Jiraiya then continued, while I will teach this foolish disciple of mine some lessons that he has forgotten in the intoxication of power, Gamakon-san, against this foe there would be no fooling around. I am going to use honored Sannin mode. What? You don't mean? The toad Gamakon on top of whom Jiraiya was standing said. Yes indeed, I am summoning the two great toad sages. However, it's going to take some time to summon the two of them, and I cannot release my hands during that time. I'm counting on you, buy me some time until then. Jiraiya said, as his hands were clasped together in order. All right, clumsy as I am, I shall try. Gamakon nodded. Compared to Gamabunta, Gamakon is more suited for defense, which is necessary for now as Jiraiya has to defend against many attacks for a little while. Around the same time, Chikashoto Pain also hid inside the gecko, while the Shirato Pain and Gakido Pain were also ready for the upcoming battle. At this time, the giant bird that was flying high in the sky suddenly scooped down towards the group. Gamakon blocked the bird with his shield. Ding! However, it seems that the momentum of the giant bird was too for Gamakon, not only did the floor beneath him collapse, even Gamakon was knocked to the ground. Rumble! Rumble! While Gamakon was down, the giant centipedes suddenly burrowed out of the ground and bit on the legs of Gamakon. Gamakon couldn't take care of all those injuries, he immediately turned over and inserted the Susamada on the head of the centipede to the ground, trapping it in place, making it difficult for the centipedes to move. On the other side, Guy's fighting spirit was over the notch, he was very eager to let his youth shine and this was clearly visible from the simultaneous powerful kicks he was raining on the bodies of the giant multi-headed dogs. While Kakashi was dealing with the crab that can spit out soap water and the other centipedes. The confrontation between Kuchiyos and Shinobi was causing too much damage, the ground was shaking, walls collapsing, rocks flying everywhere. Anyone below the strength of Jonin was not even suitable to be part of such destructive battles. When Kakashi was about to finish off the crab with his Raikiri, he suddenly stopped, and in less than a second, he turned around to stab the enemy that suddenly appeared behind him. Chirp! As soon as he turned, Kakashi clearly saw that this person was one of those three Akatsuki members each with a pair of the Rinnegan who stood atop the tower just a while ago. And so close to the other party, Kakashi's attack was guaranteed to hit. At such a close distance, he shouldn't be able to escape. With this confidence, Kakashi proceeded. But just as Kakashi's Raikiri was about to pierce through the opponent's heart, suddenly the high concentration Raitun chakra on his right hand disappeared completely, it seemed as if it was absorbed by something, and Kakashi's right hand that had lost its momentum was held by the opponent. My chakra, it vanished, or was it absorbed? Guy immediately noticed Kakashi's predicament, his instinct kicked in and he instantly appeared next to Gakido Pain, to send him flying with a Konoha Gariki Senpu. But Guy's Konoha Gariki Senpu was easily blocked by the opponent with his other hand. The opponent is obviously none other than Gakido Pain, he wanted to kill these two hindrances before killing Jiraiya. Kakashi saw that both he and Guy were held, and instantly tried to again bring out more lightning chakra to take advantage of this situation and pierce through the opponent's heart, but apart from a few sparks, nothing more appeared, as all his chakra was being emptied out. And this time, Kakashi saw it very clearly, he reached a clear conclusion, the previous one specializes in Kuchiyos, while this one absorbs chakra. Question is, can he use the same jutsu that he has absorbed like Hirako to cast the same ninjutsu? Gakido Pain stared at Hatake Kakashi and Might Guy with an indifferent expression then muttered to himself, Hatake Kakashi, and Might Guy. Hyuga Kuroto is not here. I suppose. Before either of the two could react to the enemy's words, they were sent flying. Heavily colliding with the walls, that almost broke the wall, Guy and Kakashi got up and stared at Gakido Pain. Guy questioned, you okay Kakashi? Kakashi nodded, and said, this one can absorb chakra of any attack in an instant. Ninjutsu is probably ineffective against him. Is that so? In that case, it's time for the blue beast of Konoha to act. Guy said then instantly shouted, Hashimon Tanku, came on, open, and immediately a vapor of blue chakra burst out of Guy's body, like an upwelling vortex with such intensity that even the rain that fell upon them was scattered. Konoha AAA, where did he go? Just as Guy was about to attack the enemy, Gakido Pain suddenly took a step backward and disappeared into thin air. Guy's entire mood suddenly collapsed, he just opened Hashimon Tanku, and the enemy had already disappeared. Kakashi said, be careful, he has hidden inside the mouth of that strange gecko. Although Gakido Pain's speed was incredibly fast, it did not escape the inside of Kakashi's Sharingan. In just a moment he discovered that Gakido Pain has hidden inside the mouth of Gecko. Whoosh. 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 Just when Kakashi was telling Guy the location of the gecko, suddenly missiles started coming towards them. Guy looked up, and he knew that there is no way to counter so many of them at once. He instantly turned around, and ran out of the range of explosion while carrying Kakashi, whose chakra was absorbed by Gakido Pain. But unexpectedly, the missiles all have a homing ability, and they continued to chase after Guy and Kakashi. On the other side, Jiraiya was also having constant trouble as he had to face one Kuchios after another, but he persisted, and finally the two great Toad Sage, Fukasaku, and Shima appeared on Jiraiya's shoulder. Looking at Chikashodo Pain and the ripple pattern in his eyes, Shima spoke, "So that's the Rinnegan, huh? It certainly does look like the one mentioned in the legends, doesn't it? What nasty eyes. I can't believe that he is the child of prophecy." Fukasaku spoke incredulously. Jiraiya said with a bit of hesitation, "I still want to persuade him, he can still turn for a better leaf." Toad Shima seemed displeased, "Is that even possible?" Toad Fukasaku nodded, "Jiraiya boy, that child has the Rinnegan, the fabled eyes of Rakudo Sennin. If we are any bit careless then it would mean certain death." It was at this very moment when Killer Bee finally got rid of all the entanglement and appeared next to Jiraiya. After a look at Jiraiya, Bee turned towards the direction they were all looking at, then asked, "So he is the leader of Akatsuki, got to do defeat him quickly, oh yeah." Jiraiya nodded, and questioned, "Where are Konoha and Suna units? I was informed that all units are rushing here, what happened to them? What are only Kumo assault units here?" Killer Bee replied, "Oh, Akatsuki has deployed a lot, forces of powerful men outside Amigakure, even brothers stayed behind to fight. Konoha and Suna are in similarity, only I was able to infiltrate, now I must act on the intended, yeah." After giving an answer to Jiraiya's question, Bee then looked at Chikashodo Pain, and questioned, "Where are Yujito and Samui?" Because Ni Yujito and Samui have been captured by Akatsuki organization, Kumo's current priority is to recover Nibi at all costs, as such Bee has to first confirm where Yujito is. However, Chikashodo Pain did not reply to Killer Bee, but muttered to himself, "Hachibi's Jinchuriki is finally here." Among the 9 Bijou, Hachibi's strength is second only to Kyubi. Akatsuki organization has specifically deployed its members on several fronts in such a manner that Hachibi will be the only one to manage to summon inside Amigakure aside from the 4 of Team 11. As for bringing in Team 11, well, it is obvious to have a chat with Hyuga Kuroto and extract his memories to understand how did he obtain the location of Akatsuki's base. And well, Jiraiya was already present in the village. Tap, 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 tap. Slowly and steadily the sound of someone walking over metal pipes came. Now that Hachibi is here, it's time to put an end to this farce. Then the indifferent words reached everyone's ears. Capturing Hachibi will be the second step to world peace. As soon as those words were finished, another shinobi with the Akatsuki cloak and orange hair, and the same ripple pattern, I walked out and stood next to Shirato Pain. This one is none other than Tendo Pain. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed in shock. "Wayahiko? Oh yes, there was such a fellow once, wasn't there? But he died a long time ago." These words of Nagato were repeated in Jiraiya's mind. Wasn't he supposed to have died? Killer Bee was stunned. What is going on? How come another pair of Rinnegan is coming on, Bakayaro, Kanayaro? Jiraiya shook his head with a solemn expression. "No, this is already the 4th pair." While Jiraiya and others were talking, Tendo Pain clasped his hands together, and instantly, a black dot appeared between his hands. The black soon expanded and was released into the air by Tendo Pain. The black ball soon flew higher and higher and its powers started to take effect. Chibaku Tensei. Tendo Pain's cold words reached everyone's ears. Whether it was Jiraiya, or Fukasaku and Shima on Jiraiya's shoulders, or Killer Bee, each of them felt an extreme threat from that. It didn't take long for their fear to be fulfilled as the ground beneath that ball dot started to crack and started to rise above. It was as if something was pulling it up in spite of the acting gravity. Toad Shima, who started to rise in the air despite the resistance she put, can't help but panic. "What's going here, Pa?" Toad Fukasaku was not much different from Shima, and he spoke. "It should be some kind of ability of the Rinnegan." Killer Bee felt the crisis and Hachibi sealed inside Bee too felt it. He immediately said, "Bee, break free of the effects of that, otherwise we are done for." Jiraiya also found that his body was not under his control. Damn. Under the high gravitational pull of Chibaku Tensei, everything was pulled towards it. Even the nearby tall buildings were no different for that matter. Gradually its size grew and even the likes of Jiraiya in Sannin mode and Killer were unable to resist being buried into the rubble and sealed inside it. With the main troubles solved, Tendo Pain's body slowly hovered above and spoke indifferently, "Now stay there as you are while I get rid of everyone that has no use." Looking at the huge satellite, planetary orb, the size of which was still increasing, Kuroto's eyes narrowed as he muttered to himself, "It seems that I overestimated Jiraiya-sama and Killer Bee." The scene before him clearly shows that in the face of Tendo Pain, even the Toads Sannin and Hachibi's perfect Jinchuriki cannot put any resistance. With just a single Chibaku Tensei by Tendo Pain, all expectations Kuroto had originally put on Jiraiya and Killer Bee were crushed, much less keeping Pain Rikudo occupied for a while. Neither of them could even pose any resistance. And before they could even understand what exactly was going on, both of them were sealed inside the planetary orb hovering in the sky. Shursui also saw what happened to Jiraiya and Killer Bee, and he could no longer stay hidden while the other party is close to death. Said, "Kuroto-san, we have to save them. If Jiraiya-sama and Killer Bee remain sealed within that sphere for very long, then they will die because of being unable to breathe." Kuroto no longer stopped Shursui, and nodded, "Go. Be careful, Shursui-san," said Itachi, who was standing next to Kuroto and Shursui, while he wore Homusubi disguise. Shursui nodded to both Kuroto and Itachi and disappeared. With Shursui gone, Kuroto shifted his gaze and looked at 3 particular buildings. Each building in Amigakure has a lot of seals covering them. These seals can not only prevent Sensor Nin to sense any chakra fluctuations but also hinder the Byakugan perception. So, Kuroto has been having some problems in finding the location where Nagato is hidden. But after all this time, he has finally narrowed down 3 buildings. According to the distribution of the seals and the position of Konan hovering in the sky observing the battle, Kuroto has further narrowed down the target to 2 buildings. In which of the 2 is Nagato hiding? I will have to narrow it down as soon as possible, thought Kuroto with a solemn expression. There is only one chance of a sneak attack. If that results in a failure, then who knows whether it would be possible to kill Nagato in just one shot or not. At this time Itachi asked, "Kuroto-san, have you found it?" Kuroto nodded and said, "I have narrowed it down to 2, I just need a bit more time." Itachi nodded and thought while looking up at Konan observing the battle, "How should I fight her?" On the other hand, Kuroto also had some more thoughts. The current situation has completely deviated from our initial planning. Akatsuki organization has been too prepared for this raid. From arranging the various deployment to maintaining control over the entire situation, it all seems as if the Akatsuki organization has long since expected this raid. Then there is also the point that Shinichi mentioned to Kuroto, Pain seems to be planning something big. Does that mean that Akatsuki had the information about the raid much before? But how is that even possible? I personally did not venture into Amigakure all for the purpose of keeping it hidden. Does that mean that someone betrayed the Tri-Alliance? Or was it Orochimaru-sensei? No, it couldn't have been him. Because if it was, then sensei wouldn't have personally come here. Something else is going on here. Sigh, for now, I will just focus on dealing with Nagato. Thankfully, aside from Shursui, no one knows that Amatsukami will also be participating, so there is still an element of surprise here. Recovering his thoughts, Kuroto focused on further narrowing down the target to 1 building. On the other side, after Shursui left, he did not directly go to the planetary orb, but rather he circled around a bit to not give away the place where Kuroto and Itachi were hiding at. After reaching a suitable distance, Shursui directly jumped towards the planetary orb and was quickly attracted to it because of its strong attractive force. A Konoha Umbu? Tendo Pain muttered in surprise. Did a Konoha Umbu manage to get past Madara? Tendo Pain was a bit surprised upon seeing a shinobi appear out of nowhere. Doesn't matter, he too will be sealed. But because of extreme confidence in his jutsu and believing that it was just some Umbu shinobi in hiding that was drawn towards the planetary orb because of the strong attractive force, he did not bother. To be honest, Tendo Pain did not really care about that shinobi and did not put much attention on him, as the Umbu would be sealed inside that orb anyway. I have to also locate Uchiha Shursui and Hyuga Kuroto. Indifferent, Tendo Pain started walking in the direction of other raid units to just finish them all at once. While Shursui, who was wearing his Umbu disguise, had a serious expression as he observed the planetary orb, he was being drawn closer to which. And it was at the moment he reached closer to the surface he immediately activated his Manjikyu Sharingan and used Susanoo. Instantly a dark emerald green chakra was projected out of Shursui's body. Tendo Pain immediately realized the identity of the other party. So, he was Uchiha Shursui all along. And does he really think that he can free them? Shisui did not care whether Tendo Pain was coming towards him or not, he continued to transfer more and more ocular power and chakra to the Susanoo. Such that his Susanoo this time was much better than the last time. Roar. With a loud roar, the emerald green Susanoo appeared, and this time not only the upper body, but even the lower limbs appeared, which means it took the complete humanoid form, which is rather rare and difficult to be able to make without the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Although it is still far from being as powerful as the complete body Susanoo, perhaps the humanoid form is also quite a lot at this point in time. Both Kuroto and Itachi were watching the battle from a distance and were surprised by the humanoid form. Both of them are aware that Shisui is pretty close to blindness, and even in such a situation, he is using all the ocular power of his Manjikyu Sharingan. But Shisui did not care about all that. Right now, Shisui's entire focus is on freeing Jiraiya. Having manifested his Susanoo, Shisui lifted his hands and started digging through the planetary orb. It was because he was unaware of the exact position of Jiraiya and Killer Bee and therefore, was worried that if he directly used the spiral lance then it could injure or kill them, so instead of using the spiral sword, he dug through with the bare hands of Susanoo. But because of the large size of Susanoo, the speed of digging even with bare hands wasn't slow, and in only a few seconds he managed to get past the surface to a little deeper. And soon spotted several strands of white hair that had to be Jiraiya's. After further digging he could finally see Jiraiya's upper body. Overjoyed, Shisui hurriedly spoke, "Jiraiya-sama, please hold on a bit, I will free you in a few seconds." Jiraiya, who was constrained by the rubble mass of the planetary sphere, was also surprised by Uchiha Shisui's actions in being able to get up to here, and spoke lightly, "Be careful. Shinra Tensei." Boom. As soon as Jiraiya's words fell, an inexplicable force started acting on Shisui's Susanoo. It was drawing the Susanoo away from the planetary sphere. Fortunately, Shisui's grasp on the planetary sphere was extremely strong, and because of this, he was able to stabilize his figure from falling off of the sphere despite the force acting on him. Well, it seems that this approach will not work on Uchiha's Susanoo. In that case, Tendo Pain muttered with a thoughtful voice. The strong force acting on Shisui's Susanoo was obviously Shinra Tensei, used by Tendo Pain, but it seemed that Pain had underestimated the power of Uchiha's Susanoo, therefore, he did not expect that his jutsu to not work, but no matter. Shisui knew that the leader of the Akatsuki organization wouldn't give him any more time to rescue Jiraiya-sama. Shisui's gaze hardened, and he decisively manifested the spiral lance made out of chakra, and fiercely inserted it inside the planetary orb to cut through it as soon as he can. This move of Shisui not only completely liberated Jiraiya as well as the two sage toads but also revealed the half-buried Hachibi that was protecting Killer Bee. Just a bit more, Shisui gritted his teeth and increased the chakra and ocular power input. Seeing that Shira Tensei failed to push away Uchiha Shisui's Susanoo, Tendo Pain did not use other attempts. Instead, he brought the palms of his hands together again. In an instant, the ocular power of Rinnegan was further injected into the core of Chibaku Tensei. The huge planetary orb, which was starting to drop small pieces of gravel showing faint signs of collapse, immediately started to condense back again as the attractive force of Chibaku Tensei increased and its size started to grow. Shisui's Susanoo was the first to bear the brunt. The sudden increase in the force of Chibaku Tensei was so strong that Susanoo's upper body heavily collided on the surface and several cracks also started to appear. Although Shisui tried his best to resist, it seemed that he too will be buried inside the planetary sphere. Killer Bee saw that everyone was about to be sealed inside the planetary sphere, and he had to lose hope of getting out of trouble. Burst out all of his chakra. Boom. With the liberation of Hachibi, 8 long octopus tentacles suddenly stretched of him, which he focused on the same point from where Uchiha Shisui was drilling his way inside. With all the strength he could muster, he pushed Uchiha Shisui, Jiraiya, and the toad out of the sphere. Because of Killer Bee's efforts, Uchiha Shisui's Susanoo gained more mobility and he too burst out all of his strength to free all of them from the planetary orb. Under the dual efforts of Killer Bee and Shisui, some of them finally managed to escape the gravitational field of the planetary sphere and heavily landed on the ground one after another with several loud thuds. Thud. 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 Huff. Huff, everyone heavily gasped for breath as they laid on the ground exhausted. The current state of Jiraiya as well as the two toads is not so good, even Shisui's Susanoo disappeared. Looking around, neither of them could find Killer Bee among them, meaning that Killer Bee couldn't escape and was thus sealed inside it. Even Uchiha Shisui doesn't seem to be in the condition to be able to fight as he is more than likely to have exhausted a lot of his chakra to destroy that planetary orb. Jiraiya realizes that if Tendo Pain, standing in front of him, uses the same ability again, then no one will be able to save them. At the same time, he also realizes that among the people present inside Amage Cure, nobody other than him can defeat Pain. Therefore, he did not wait any longer and immediately said to the two sage toads, "Boss, ma'am, let's start." Both Fukasaku and Shima nodded with a solemn expression and jumped on Jiraiya's shoulder, to help him gather natural energy and to brew Senjutsu chakra. Both Fukasaku and Shima have a long life and many battles through it, and the Pain fellow standing before them is undoubtedly one of the strong and most unusual shinobi they have ever seen, not to mention he is the bearer of the Rinnegan, and just to make the matters worse, there are 4 of these Pain's fellow, each with a pair of Rinnegan. In Jiraiya's cognition, since the establishment of the shinobi village system, and after the death of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, Pain is the strongest shinobi to have appeared. In the face of someone so strong and weird, they knew that even a little bit of carelessness could cost them their lives. Jiraiya clasped his hands together to enter the Sennin mode. Jiraiya has to stand still while the two toads gather the natural energy in cooperation. Tendo Pain obviously doesn't plan to waste his time here as he has to also get rid of other rats, and said indifferently to Jiraiya, "Jiraiya-sensei, it's futile to resist, you cannot change anything, you cannot defeat a god." Jiraiya shouted, "Yahiko, this is not you. Did you not want to change this country? Did you not want to bring peace to this world? What has happened to the 3 of you?" Tendo Pain said indifferently, "It's not your fault that you are unable to see it, I am doing just that, sensei." "No, Yahiko, you are wrong, what you are doing is wrong. Was destroying the land of demons peace? What you are doing is not bringing peace." Jiraiya retorted. "Wrong?" With a cold snort, Tendo Pain said, "From here on, what's right and what's wrong will be defined by me." Jiraiya said with bitter sadness, "Don't get lost in power, Yahiko." At this moment Conan's words reached them, "Lost in power? You of the great shinobi villages have always been lost in power, you people do not put anyone before your eyes. Now that people who are stronger than the great shinobi villages have appeared, you are asking us to not get lost in power. That's funny, Jiraiya-sensei, are we not even allowed to protect ourselves? Are we not allowed to pursue our dreams and goals? Should we just accept the fate that you people of great shinobi villages bind us to?" Jiraiya looked up at Conan and said sadly, "But what you are doing is starting a war, people are dying." Tendo Pain shook his head and said, "No, Jiraiya-sensei, we are just re-establishing the order of the shinobi world, look at everything around you, are we the ones who started this war? Are we the ones who are invading others' homes? Are we the ones ravaging others' villages? You people of great shinobi villages invade others' homes and now you speak to us to not start a war. Why the Akatsuki? Why gather such dangerous nuke-nines? Why incite a civil war within a village? Conan, Yahiko, you have to stop all this. You, people, are children who have experienced war, you understand the destruction war brings and the pain it causes to people, it takes generations to be able to forget that pain, do you want to see more orphans appear in the accursed world?" Jiraiya questioned. Conan had a momentary sad expression, but there was not even a trace of hesitation in her eyes. The foolish ideals of bringing peace to the world with words and understanding died along with Yahiko, now all that's left is pain, the same pain that will bring peace to the world. It is because I understand the pain that I know that it is only through pain that people can understand each other. When enough people die, those who remain will be left with the pain of losing, this pain will make them naturally avert war, Tendo said. Seeing that Conan and Yahiko could not be persuaded at all, Jiraiya was helpless and asked, "Where is Nagato? Is he alive? And why do you have his Rinnegan?" "Initially, I believed that the first one I saw was Nagato, but he is not. Where is Nagato? And how come there are so many Rinnegan bearers?" "Nagato. Yahiko. Conan, everyone died a long time ago, now all that's left is pain." Pain said. "In their heart, they are nothing more than ghosts of the past, their sole purpose of existence is to make Yahiko's dream come true." Jiraiya sighed, "Could you please just stop with the world play?" "Yes. It is time I kill you and be done with it." Speaking so, he slowly landed on the same street as Jiraiya and started walking towards him. Tendo Pain with his Rinnegan can see the changes happening in Jiraiya and understands that it would be pointless to wait any longer. There are probably more battles to come, so he does not want to waste any more time talking with Jiraiya. With this intention, he raised his hands and shouted, "Bansho Tenin." And suddenly a strong force started to act on Jiraiya, making him fly towards Tendo Pain. However, Jiraiya was prepared this time, and he immediately shouted, "Ranjishigami no Jutsu." In an instant, Jiraiya's hair grew, split into several strands, and was firmly nailed on the ground, stopping his body from flying towards Tendo Pain. Seeing that his attack failed to bring Jiraiya towards him, Tendo Pain shook his hand, and 2 black rods slid down through his sleeves and were caught in his hand. Holding these black sticks, Tendo Pain slowly walked towards Jiraiya. At the same time, one after another, several silhouettes fell from the sky surrounding Jiraiya at the center. Jiraiya looked at the faces of these silhouettes and his face changed drastically. These 5 are, a total of 5 people fell from the sky, and counting Tendo Pain approaching him, there were a total of 6 people, and each of them had the same ripple pattern eye, each of them had a Rinnegan pair. Whoosh! 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 With the sound of breaking wind, all 6 Pain rushed towards Jiraiya with black rods in their hands. A battle between Jiraiya and Pain Rikudo broke out. This was undoubtedly the most overwhelming battle he had ever fought. Within just a few breaths he was knocked out. Whether it was Kurama Rasengan, Senpo, Gomen, or some other techniques, none of them worked. The ninjutsu were all absorbed by one of them, while taijutsu battle against 6 at the same time was proving to be extremely difficult even for Jiraiya in the Sennin mode, as all of them can share each other's vision. In just a few short minutes, Jiraiya was kicked heavily and flew out. Shursui wanted to help but was unable to do so as a constant rain of explosive tags kept coming at him. Looking at Jiraiya with disdain, Pain said, "Jiraiya-sensei, you cannot defeat me. I am God." Boom. At this moment, Kakashi and Guy rushed out of the smoke, and behind them several multi-headed dogs. And no matter what they did, there was simply no method to kill the dog, although they did manage to resolve the other Kuchios. That wasn't the case with this dog. Pain turned to glance at Kakashi and Guy, who were running from the multi-headed dogs, and said lightly, "Ah, the other rats are also here, although I am wondering where the last member of your team, that is Hyuga Kuroto, has gone, but anyway. I will first get rid of all of you at once, then go after him. I really have some questions for him that I would like to get answers to." Even if they have realized that the visions of Pain Rikudo are connected, neither of them could pose a resistance. Might Guy, after opening Hashiman Tanku, posed some resistance, but it wasn't strong enough to subdue Pain Rikudo. Seeing that none could defeat Pain Rikudo, Jiraiya felt guilty. He was responsible for guiding the child, and he failed. Each Pain stretched out a black rod, pointing at the heads of several shinobi, and said, "It's over for all of you." And with that, he brought down his hands. Everyone closed their eyes, as they all knew that without a doubt, they will all die, and accepted their fate, accepting their death. A second passed, another second passed, and one more, but the expected pain did not come, the expected death did not come. Confused, they opened their eyes and checked the situation, only to notice that all 6 Pain have fallen to the ground and inexplicably lost consciousness at the same moment. Thud. 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 Thud.